I'd like to invite up to give us a GEMS4 presentation titled Making Agribusiness Markets Work Better for All. And that's going to be delivered to us by Mr. Richard Ogundele. So please encourage him to jog up to the stage. And this presentation will last for about 40 minutes, I believe. 40 minutes. Okay, there is a video, but 40 minutes.
Thank you very much, MC. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. The next few minutes, I'll take you on a short journey of 5.5 years' work in rice, tomato, and giving you the need to have concise data before you start investment. Let's start with the tomato sector. Generally, the slides are going to be giving you, could go back one more slide? Just back up. We'll just give you an overview, the key constraints, what we have done, how did we do it, and what's the situation as we leave the scene right now, what are the impacts we're leaving behind, key lessons, and where are the public-private opportunities to invest. And then we'll talk about the cluster mapping. Next, please. For tomatoes, it's a very important sector to Nigeria. The second largest producer of tomato in Africa after Egypt. The 14th largest producer in the world. 1.2% of the world's production of tomato comes from Nigeria, and 10.79% of that in Africa. But sadly, we are the largest importer of tomato products, especially pastes. And as at 2016, the figure is $360 million. That's about 2 years back. Definitely this year, it's far more than that. Our annual production is estimated to be 1.8 million metric tons, but the demand is 2.3 million, which gives us a gap of 500,000 metric tons. And obviously, the sad part again is the fact that 45% of the 1.8 million produced is lost due to post-harvest handling, poorly done. Next slide, please. What are the key constraints in the tomato sector? There is a lack of knowledge of harvesting, proper handling by the farmers. They harvest too late. The tomatoes are red ripe. They can't handle the rigors of touching, packaging, and long distance travels. They use poor packing materials such as raffia baskets, which contribute to the poor food safety and hygiene standards we have in Nigeria. And then, of course, there is lack of access to alternate markets. There is an oversupply of produce during the peak period, which leads to a glut, low price, and huge wastage. What's the sum total of all of this? We have reduced incomes for the farmers, reduced tomato quality, and all these constraints contribute to the 41% damage in transit experienced when you use raffia baskets to move tomatoes over a distance of 1,000 kilometers from the north to south, mainly the Mile 12 markets that serves over 1,000 smaller markets in Lagos. And of course, the poverty persists. Next slide, please. What has GEMS4 done? We have introduced good handling practices. We have trained master trainers who will continue to render this service as a fee-paying training service provision across the value chain. We have further gone ahead to institutionalize the good handling training practices as a curriculum within the Agri-Development Project Extension Delivery Service across the pilot states, such that for every extension agent that has access to different farmers in their blocks, they will be able to give this skill to all the farmers. We have introduced 25,100 returnable plastic crates across the value chain. This was done in collaboration with our partners, the Mastercard Center for Inclusive Growth, and this has created that buzz in the market that we have seen in various pictures. We have also linked farmers to 2 processing plants in the north, one in Kaduna and one in Kano. Ultimately, this has reduced damage by 93%. The poverty has reduced. And of course, the tomato quality has improved. Wastage also reduced. Next slide. We have also facilitated new transport system and packaging. We've heard about the rail movement of fresh tomatoes in crates from north to south. And recently, we've also started experiencing cold reefers on the road, moving tomatoes from north to south as well. We've also collaborated with our partners, the YieldWise project, a Rockefeller-funded project managed by the Pixera Global, to facilitate extensive training of 10,000 farmers within 28 aggregation centers in Kano. And hopefully, down the road from this year, we'll begin to see centers that look like that. And of course, we produce the tomato cluster map. This is where we're able to tell people exactly where the tomatoes are, the volume, the seasonality, and of course, the number of farmers that are producing these tomatoes. Next slide. How did we do it? We ensured that we had enough information, market systems analysis, market sector overview, and at the end of it all, we shared these findings among stakeholders. We agreed together to know what exactly will be the areas of intervention to begin to reduce post-harvest losses in this sector. And then we ensured that we got the right partners who will help us actualize our goals and targets, like the MasterCard partnership that enabled us to provide 25,000 crates. We also produced a tomato color code chart. This is a tool that helps farmers to time their harvesting such that you begin to harvest when they are greenish yellow and not fully red ripe. That is the stage where we're encouraging them to start their harvesting so that the tomato still has enough life in it to withstand all the rigors of touching. And then we produce standard operation procedures for pack house management, operation of crate rental business model, and the good handling practices itself. We trained master trainers who will continue to train others. We had a market storm, which essentially was a business-to-business activity in the field, where manufacturers of plastic crates will be meeting farmers and other users of crates who will need the crate so that they can directly interact with themselves, broker their deals, negotiate prices, and access plastic crates. Right after that, we introduced the crate rental business model between Katsina, Kaduna, and Lagos Mile 12 markets. As we speak, it's ongoing. The rail operators are using it. The road users are also engaged in it. We partner with the Kaduna State government to also set up the first locally produced pack house in Dutsenwe, Kaduna State. We ensured that the simulation of the operation within the pack house was taught, and we left an operator there. At the moment, about 30 people are engaged in there. I'm sure if we just take a drive, we can find this going on. We introduced better road transportation as well as rail. And then we had a much higher GHP outreach across the pilot states. And finally, we engaged with the Lagos State government to ensure that the policy that they are trying to put in place to facilitate and support proper handling, transportation, storage, and distribution of fresh produce was properly guided so that they don't just stampede the market and distort things. So at the moment, we've been told that by first quarter 2018, the Lagos State government will be passing its bill into law where it will be prohibited to handle fresh produce generally, not just tomato, in the known way that we have seen it done currently. If this gets done, this will be one of the biggest triggers of systemic change across the fresh produce market in Nigeria, because 23 states will have to comply, but it will be done over a period of perhaps 9 months to 2 years from what they've told us. So it won't be an immediate action. Next slide, please. What's the current situation as GEMS4 exits the market? There's a better handling of fresh produce right now. We've seen crates being used. The quality has improved. There's also an increased opportunity to access higher value markets like supermarkets, hotels, and the likes of them. We have seen the market responding. Processing plants are requesting for produce to be delivered to them in plastic crates. At the same time, they're insisting that GHP should be applied on any fresh produce being delivered to them. And of course, the crate rental business model has started. Manufacturers are also getting a lot more inquiries, and people are buying more plastic crates. Next, please. What's the impact we're leaving behind in this sector? At the moment, 71,712 people have positive change in their income, and this income amounts to over 41 million pounds. At the same time, for me, as a key actor in this event, to ensure that within a period of 5.5 years, we achieved 93% reduction in wastage. That means a lot. And that's a lot of income going back to the poor farmers. And finally, we were able to create 4,638 full-time equivalent jobs. It's not easy, but it's still counting. Next slide, please. Sustainability and exit. How sustainable are the things we're leaving behind, and how did we plan our exit to go with it? We had dissemination workshops with our pilot states and other neighboring states who were really interested in understanding what we did. We also had GHP training across these same states because that was the first outcome from the dissemination workshop. They requested for that training to be done again. So we did that. And that has also helped to leave that capacity behind to continue to train other actors in the value chain. We had specific handover sessions of key innovations to stakeholders in different locations. And we developed standard operational procedures. These are toolkits to run these innovative business models we're leaving behind. We have given them to the stakeholders who will be able to run with them. And finally, specific meetings were held with interested stakeholders who would really love to take these opportunities up and invest their money. Next, please. It's also nice to hear from those who benefited directly. What are they saying? What's their opinion? I make more sales in pepper and tomatoes now because I adopted the good handling practices. They last longer, and I can bargain better. Customers specifically request for GHP pepper and tomatoes in this market in Kaduna. My business has really benefited from it. That's Mohammed in Igabi local government in Kaduna. And anytime you see him, he's always smiling. Next slide, please. What are the lessons we have learned? Farmers need to understand that GHP is important. If you wash or rinse your tomatoes or whatever fresh produce, it doesn't mean it's going to go bad. If you use plastic crates, the water will drain out. So they should be thought that GHP is very important as its first line activity to preserve quality of their produce. Trainers have been trained. They are available to offer this training service across the sector. Anywhere you find yourself in Kaduna, Kano, Jigawa, Katsina, Lagos, there are master trainers there. Now, the ROPC market access is still small because we have just 5 manufacturers, 4 of them for plastic crates, 1 for polystyrene. So it's a huge opportunity that still needs to be tapped into. But then the market has opened up, people are making requests for it. The government role, apart from policy, which really will drive and support the activities of this sector, will include infrastructural provision, because we have infrastructural gaps. And of course, we need to get right partnerships. If you don't have the right partners for your interventions, you are dead on arrival. Next slide, please. We facilitated new financial products to support various parts of the rice value chain, and then we promoted investment into the sector. We just had an event in Lagos 2 weeks ago. Next slide. How did we do what we did with these partners? We identified commercial mills who are willing to work with smallholder farmers who will be willing to pay a premium and the rest of them. We got the farmers mobilized and sensitized in terms of the quality of the paddy required by these commercial millers. We also got them registered in groups, and then we facilitated that direct sale between the farmers and the commercial millers. GEMS4 did this directly the first time. But from an M4P perspective, this is not going to be sustainable. So we needed to put a business model in place to ensure that post-GEMS4, this service continues, and whoever is running the service sees it as a business, makes money from it, the farmers are happy, the millers are happy. And that's how we came about the agro support service provision as a business model. Next slide, please. What's the current situation? Right now, Grain Sahel and Babagona are continuing with this business model. The farmers are happy, and the millers as well are happy. We have farmers supplying to commercial mills. That means that missing link that we had initially has been corrected, and the market is now working more efficiently than before. The millers themselves are beginning to package rice in small stock keeping units, what we call SKUs. You see 5 kg, 2 kg, 1 kg, 10 kg, just to ensure that even the smallest person gets access to rice. You know how the Peak Milk did their own 20-gram sachet. You still get Peak Milk. If you want to drink the one in can, you can still buy it. So it's the same principle here. And investors are looking at the rice cluster mapping critically. The banks are also checking. If I put this amount of money, what can I get? What's the guarantee that if I go and install a rice mill here, I will get paddy? These are things that the rice cluster map will answer for you. Next slide. The impact here in the rice sector, we have 21,251 farmers with positive change in income. That income is valued at about £4 million. From this number, about 43 of them were able to get working capital loans. That means they've now understood the business model and they're able to pay back. And of course, we created 4,793 full-time equivalent jobs. That's a huge one in the rice sector. The same thing we did for the tomato. We had dissemination sessions in the States. We had meetings with the key stakeholders in different locations. The rice investment promotion was held in Lagos and it was well attended with a lot of interest, with people pitching the need for more money to expand their ongoing operations. And of course, the agro-service support model is thriving. They've extended beyond the rice into other value chains. Now, you'll ask that question, did the beneficiaries really get anything out of it? Yes. This Malam, a community head in Jigawa, said, I used to trek to and from the farm, but that has changed because I was able to purchase a motorcycle from the income and profit from the sale of paddy. If he used to trek and he can now get an Okada, hopefully 2 seasons down the line, he might even get, who knows, a G-Wagon. Next slide, please. Why will this agro-support service business model continue to thrive post-GEMS4? There is an increased beneficiary income for the farmers. They make more money at the moment compared to the past. That's why that man could buy a motorbike. The service provider makes money from fees and commission he gets. Fees from the farmers to participate in the program, commission from input dealers who sell fertilizer, seeds, and the rest of them. And of course, the scale, the potential to scale beyond their location is huge. The cluster mapping gives them that bigger picture. We already have 2 partners who are already working with this model. Next slide. For rice, it's a very busy and interesting sector, so there are so many lessons. But I'll just tell you about a few. For every community you get into, the village head is the gatekeeper. Don't start anything without going through the village head. If you do that, you won't get any access. And then mills, the commercial mills are willing to pay premium. They don't have that expertise to go and organize farmers, to teach them. They just want to mill paddy into rice. So if you organize and get this across to them, they are willing to pay you a premium on that. I will also tell you one thing that's still a challenge. Farmers like to be paid instantly. They bring their produce, they want their money. So for the mobile money tech and all the financial business service providers, there is still something to be cracked there. It's working, but there is still a higher efficiency required to absorb the volume of produce delivered to the mills and the number of farmers that need to get paid. And of course, the rice cluster mapping has received a lot of welcome amongst investors. That means for other commodities, we need to do the same thing. Just follow the same procedure. Next slide, please. Where are those opportunities to invest in the private sector? Invest in rice milling plants. With the cluster map, you know the volume of paddy from each local government area. So you can exactly determine what size of capacity to install. Don't put An elephant project can only get a rabbit output from there. Then we can invest in outgrower schemes with the farmers or through the agro-service providers. We can also invest in transport and logistics, which, in my opinion, requires serious attention. Threshing and mechanization should be looked at as opportunities to invest. Storage, inputs, equipment, and manufacture, then distribution. For the government, the public side, like I said earlier, we need to regularly update the cluster map data. We need to ensure that coordination mechanisms exist for all these models we're leaving behind to be sustained. Otherwise, you need to go back and start all over again. Creating an enabling environment for business to thrive is your number one function as a government. The proper policies, the right laws, and the right agents who will go out there and implement these laws. Let's stop having multiplicity of policies and taxes here and there. It won't help us to grow our market. Next slide. That's for rice and tomato. Now, the next 5 minutes will tell you about the essence of having proper data before you get into any of these sectors. And this is applicable to any other value chain you can imagine. Next, please. What do you want to address as your data need from any value chain? One, where are these clusters and what's the demographic there? What's the volume produced and the seasonality? What's the volume in wet or dry season? What's the average farm size and the average yield per cluster? What's the cost of producing on 1 hectare of land? And again, are the people willing to adopt new practices? And finally, what's the potential opportunity, the size of the market in total? These are the investment questions you want to have answers to before you get into investment. If you don't have these answers, it will be the regular face value appraisal that we do in Nigeria. You go to somewhere, you stand, you observe the number of trucks, you see the number of people coming to buy, there is market here, I can invest in it, bros, 10 million there. Then you lose the money and say, but I thought I saw enough people coming to buy something here. Where are they today? You did not do your feasibility. You don't have empirical study to back up your intention to invest in that sector. So we're simply saying, if you do not have proper data, you will definitely have all these issues as challenges. Next slide, please. Having done tomato and rice cluster maps, we now can tell you authoritatively that for the rice sector, we have 165 major clusters, 2,812 sub-clusters in 96 local government areas of Nigeria. That is in the 18 states sampled. For tomatoes, we have 679 clusters. We have 176,000 farmers sampled, and of course, 171,000 hectares under cultivation. All those investment questions have been answered by the cluster maps produced. So with this, you can sit down and make your informed business decisions. Finally, how do you run a cluster map so that for every other value chain, you can produce this before you get into investment? You need to do your desk research, understand the available data out there, get the stakeholders who have been working on or in any of those sectors, get what they understand, what they have, talk to them, let them know what you want to do, ask them what they are still missing so you can incorporate this into the research that you're going to do, put your TOR together to get the team of consultants you're going to use, actually conduct the cluster map. From after that, get them back into the room and share your data. Finally, if you do not get them back into the room to agree on the data you got, and you go ahead to release that information, nobody will accept it. And that will be exercise in futility. This is what the cluster map looks like. You can just go online. The URL is there on the screen, GEMS4 coffeecloud.com. You can mine the data in there, do whatever you like to do with it. Check, drill down to a cluster, and try to validate whatever you have there. If you know the locations yourself, fact check. It's there for you. Next slide. The lessons we learned, like I said, data is critical. You need to understand the risks in the sector and know how to manage them. There has to be support service development, because for every commodity value chain, it's not just about production and marketing. In between, services have to be rendered. Systemic change needs to be backed up by data. If you want to create systemic change, you need data to know where the triggers are and where those challenges are. And finally, the possible impact on the project. With cluster mapping, you can tell how far you will go. Next slide. At this point, I'll just ask you to spend the next 5-7 minutes and watch this video.
I individually am very, very impressed because I run the GHP procedures through my business, which is compared to the previous one I did. Then I discovered that, yes, I make more income, and many customers patronize me because they do ask of my tomatoes. That GHP benefited in me a lot because it helps me in order to pay my school fees, one, due to the aspect through my business, and it also helped me to assist my family at home. And also, I assisted a lot of people that are even weaker than me.
Banci da yawa, domin na ɗaya da in na ɗauki tumatir daga nan garin malam kasuwar kwana gafa. In na tafi ba a fata sai aka samu taya ko kuma wani abin ya lalace a jikin mota. Wadda ike in ya samu kwana biyu, to nima duk tattalin arziki na ya riga ya kare, domin tumatirin nan kafin ya kai idda nake nufi ya lalace. Amma da GEMS4 ta zo ta koyar da ni wannan socin ɗinsa sannan kuma zuba a kiran in tafi, to alhamdulillah 100% na ji daɗin wannan harka.
Lokacin da aka kawo min kiransa a nan Ɗanja, bayan kwana 3 na ɗora J5 zuwa Lagos, aka je mutane suka ga sabon abu ne wanda ba san shi ba, amma duk da haka Allah ya kawo muwafaka a cikin wannan kasuwa namu. Aka saida, aka ƙara koma, aka yi J5 ɗaya, a dai takaice dai na yi J5 guda 3, amma akwai 'yan matsaloli kaɗan. A takaice dai kiransu alkhairi ne, saboda Allah ya bani jari ba ɗan ƙanƙani ba sanadin wannan kiras, saboda na shekara zai kai akalla 33 ina sana'ar tumatir, ina zuba shi a kwandon gora, amma tuwa samun kuɗin da samu a bara ba.
Ƙungiyar nan ta GEMS4 mun ji daɗin tallafin nan da aka mana na bara. An ba mu iri, an ba mu taki da yuriya da kamfa, mun ji daɗinsa. Mun zuba irin nan, mun yi gonar shinkafa, na yi aika ta 5, na noma buhu 210 na yi. Da can da muke yin noman gaskiya ba ma samun haka, ina yin wannan zan samu buhu 100, wani ma ba na samun 100 ma. Na cire kuɗin taki da aka bar rance na zuba da na yuriya da na kamfa, kuma na cire wa yara kuɗin makaranta. Na samu ragowar riba ta da na samu a ciki, na siya hannu guda 3.
To gaskiya da lokacin da muke shinkafar mu ta kanmu, kafin ku kama mana tsari naku, sai muke za mu iya samun 40 an mun aikata guri. Yanzu kuma sakamakon da shi akan layi nan da kuka koya mana muke yi, kuma muka dora a kayi, muna samun buhu 80 a kayi. Dan mun samu ci gaba kwarai yadda ya kamata, saboda ga har mun samu mun gina nan na zamani mu ma, kuma mun sayi mota, mun samu ci gaba kwarai kamar yadda ya kamata.
Da muna sayar da shinkafar mu ba akan farashi ba, yanzu kuma mun samu farashi mai kyau muna sayarwa. Da gonaki a ramuke, yanzu ya kasance muna tura kayanmu suna zuwa suna dawa akan farashi mai kyau. Yanzu mun tsira da gonar kanmu ba ma ta aro ba. To kaga babu abin da za mu ce da kungiyar nan ta GEMS4, tunda gona mun jingina da a ƙarƙashin wani, yanzu da ƙafafunan mu muke tsaye, mun sai gona da wannan business da muke.
Ci gaba ya samu, yanzu kaga tunda noman nan aida in kai noma ba mu sayan kayan, to amma su mutanen garin Sahel da GEMS4 sun haɗa mu da kamfanin mai sayan shinkafa kai tsaye, wannan kamar dan modi kayan nan in mun yi za a zo a saya a cikin daraja, ba faduwa ga kuma kuɗi a hannu. Gidana kin ga da nan ɗakuna na gaba ɗaya, kin ga gaba ɗaya, kin ga yanzu ga sabon gini nan na siminti na falaye, kuma nan kuma da barlaka sun kai wajen kwaya 500 wanda sun ke nan gaba nan kuma zan rushe a gyara nan gaba ɗaya duk yan fensin gaba ɗaya.
Ai da 1 2 3 4 nisan tan sai da 10 kaga ai bai kai canji ba. Nan kuma zan ɗiba zan tafi ko ta kai 100 zan je zan shigar da ita kuma riba ba ɗaya bane tunda wannan in ka sai da wannan kaza ka sai da wannan kaza kaga farashi can ko farashin ka duk bai ɗaya ne zai fito gaba ɗaya riba ka ta fito gaba ɗaya lokaci ɗaya za ka yi abu muhimmi a lokacin da kake bukata. A baya da aisan da ba mai da su ai kaɗan nake lokacin kuma da muka haɗu da su saboda na ga canji sosai na saki jikina sosai nake zuba kuɗina sosai muke harkoki da su saboda na san ba matsala kuma ni ban taɓa samun matsala kai da su ba.
Gaskiya yanayin noma na zamani da muka tsinci kanmu ya canja ba irin na da ba domin da muna samun shinkafa ne ma muna ɗaukar buhu bage mu je kawai mu dinga watsar da shi. To amma yanzu mun samu horo daga malaman gona da kuma yanayin abubuwan da ake karantar da mu kullum muna zuwa muna zuba ta a cikin komai mu cira mu dasa. To da ba ma wuce mu samu kamar duk wannan buhun da za mu watsa bai wuce mu kawo buhu 15 buhu 20 30 ba haka gida. To amma yanzu a cikin kwano 10 ko kwano 20 idan muka zuba a cikin layin muka je muka cira muka wanke muka dasa a shakta guda muna samun abin da zai kai buhu 48 50 ma muna samu. In ga kuwa akwai bambanci fiye da yanayin irin wancan na jashilayya na baya.
Before GEMS4, we were just depending on donors to do our activities. But with coming in of GEMS4 partnership, we are now able to link up with input agencies and output markets where we earn extra money, we earn more income through the payment of commission by input agencies and those who purchase the paddy from the farmers. And this has led us to have very wider network and necessitated having more people to employ to help us do these activities. At the same time, we started with rice and it has diversified to other activities like sesame and the groundnut, as well as providing threshing services to farmers in cash for money. And we have now turned our focus from depending on donors mainly to market and business-oriented activities.
Lights, please. Can I have my colleagues up here with me? Susan, Delphine, my agribusiness team. Can we all be here and just say #grow the market? 1 to go. #grow the market. Thank you very much.